School of Visual Arts in Columbia University. I'd like to welcome on stage Team Verbal.
Hi, my name is Yuka. This is a Team Verbal. So when I was young, I realized I was unable to communicate with my friends. So I was isolated, and I learned that there was something wrong with me. After that, I learned that I share a disorder with 70 million people around the world. Stuttering. In the US, 13.3% of the population is affected by social anxiety. Stuttering is incurable, but people can alleviate the stuttering symptom with speech therapists. So that's why I went to speech therapy, but I stopped going there because the fee is super expensive and it's hard to book them. So I was so frustrated, so that's why we invented Verbal.
Verbal is a virtual reality experience that uses artificial intelligence to help people who stutter overcome social anxiety with therapy techniques. Current methods of therapy slowly exposes the patients in stressful situations. Speech pathologist takes the patients into a very small room, a quiet room, where they are able to talk. They later take them onto the street and have them talk to strangers. Doesn't that sound really stressful? Through research and user testing, we were able to find that virtual reality creates a psychological distance where participants are able to practice in a safe space. And in this space, it is okay to make mistakes. Virtual reality also has a benefit of allowing practice to be more accessible whenever and wherever you want with a VR headset. This saves $4,000, at least $4,000 per person on therapy costs annually. In order to create a human-centered design, we collaborated with speech pathologists and actual stutter patients of the National Stuttering Association chapter in New York. Through user testing and user focus group surveys, we were able to find that Verbal was able to lower social anxiety by average 30%. And 80% of these people wanted to continue to use Verbal. Now you may be wondering, what does this experience look like? In order for you to get a better understanding, I'm going to take you through Daniel's successful experience of using Verbal to practice for job interviews and eventually getting a job. So first of all, Daniel starts off in an intro scene. Here, the AI interacts with him to decide what kind of relaxation scene he wants to be in. In the relaxation scene, he either does breathing exercises or speech exercises to lower his social anxiety. Eventually, he goes into a simulation scene where he's able to practice in a more realistic situation. And depending on his anxiety levels, he will slowly be exposed to more stressful situations.
In order to create Verbal, we use head-mounted displays, including the cardboard for prototyping, the Oculus Rift, and the Samsung Odyssey. With the Odyssey's AMOLED display and the very high resolution of 1440 by 1600 pixels, we were able to create a very realistic experience and also reduce nausea. In terms of software, we use Unity 3D and Windows Mixed Reality headset to create a VR application accompanied by artificial intelligence. We have cognitive services running in the back end, including the Bing Speech AI by Azure, to have customized the experience for each and every of our patients. And having the AI is like having a pacemaker running with you in a marathon. And actually, in the onboarding experience, the AI will gently walk the user through what the experience is going to be and help them self-diagnose their anxiety level on a scale of 1 through 10. And in terms of market approach, we're considering two types of approaches. The first is direct sales, and second is to sell to therapy service providers. If we do direct sales, we're able to reach out to a lot of other customers out there who are looking for tools outside of therapy office. We're thinking of using freemium pricing strategy in that the user will be free to use our product, Verbal, for a week for free, and then they can move on. And so for now, join me in helping the 70 million people who stutter with Verbal. Thank you very much.
So I have a question, but first a comment. Yuka, for someone with your background, as you just shared with us, I thought you did a remarkable job this afternoon. I'm just curious in terms of measuring anxiety, if you've thought about using various sensors and so on in addition to asking what the anxiety levels are so that you can kind of detect in advance and tailor the system accordingly.
I'm glad you asked this question because we actually have been trying to use this sensor called galvanic skin sensor to enable to like help detect the user's anxiety level while they're in the simulation scene. So when they're public speaking, we want the AI also have the data of how the user feel as they talk. And so we have been trying to work with the data, and we're thinking that would be really a great potential for Azure like service to step in and process the chunk of data. But that's definitely something we're considering in the future. So thank you for your question.
Rachel, I have a question. Pretty UI, by the way. It looks like a lot of the low poly work is some work, and I've seen a lot of VR experiences with like meditation and pitching. So kudos to you for that. I'm wondering how many times does it take a user to need to practice for it to be effective, like to get through a job interview? You would say from your user research, like I would think that you'd have to do it a number of times. Just thinking metrics wise.
So it really depends on person to person. Ideally, without our product, users or patients would go into a therapist's office once per week. And it's actually quite expensive, on average $80. And that's only if you're living in a big city. If you're living in a more isolated location, it'd be more difficult and more expensive for you to go because you have to also consider the travel costs. So if you're flying in, taking the train, it becomes more and more expensive and very difficult. In terms of preparing for situations, I guess, again, it really depends on person to person, but for Daniel, we worked with him in January, and through Verbal, he was able to practice, and he expressed how he thought it really helped him to control his anxiety level, and to really practice in environments that is more realistic, rather than just sitting in front of a therapist. And through the 3 months, he was able to practice, control his anxiety, and he did get a job last month, so he's working right now.
Yeah, I just want to know, is any, what does the competitive landscape look like for this?
Yes, so we did a lot of like competitor research. So there are a lot of services out there that offer like meditation to lower anxiety. However, we didn't see a lot of like personalized relaxation kind of scene that like you can pick and choose what kind of relaxation you want, because different people, this is something that we learned early on, is that different people have different definitions of relaxing. And that's like a key. And also different people have different needs, so we also want to bring the AI in the simulation scene to like customize, because some people want to practice in front of like a big audience, some people want to practice in like a smaller stage that you can turn 360 degrees. So that's something that AI can help customize, and that's why we think that's a strength of Verbal.
All right,
Thank
thank you.